The name of this study is called Rude and Inappropriate, the Role of Self-Control in Following Social Norms. It was a study done by Amber DeBono, Dick Lashmouli, and Mark Mervin. The study talks about self-control and norms and the roles of each one. First, we're going to discuss self-control and what is self-control. Self-control occurs when an individual overrides, inhibits, or stops a response to avoid a temptation, reach a goal, or follow a rule. Without self-control, an individual would engage in impulsive, automatic, present-focused behavior with little regard to long-term costs or expectations. With this in mind, self-control is very important, and we expect that individuals' adherence to social norms should be dependent on their ability to exert self-control. In addition to self-control comes social norms. Social norms are rules for social behavior that inform individuals about others or society's expectations for their behavior in a wide variety of social settings. Social norms are generally classified into two types. Descriptive norms are statements about how people typically act in a given situation. An example of this would be saying hello to the cashier in the supermarket. Prescriptive norms, on the other hand, are rules about what is expected or required in a situation. An example of this would be not stealing when walking into a store. There were two experiments that were conducted by the researchers. Experiment number 1 tested prescriptive norms and examined cheating behavior with college students. Experiment number 2 tested descriptive norms and examined the norm of saying thank you by holding doors open for people. Our group decided to focus on experiment number 2 and descriptive norms. The purpose of the experiment was to see if people would say thank you to someone holding a door open for them. The researchers predicted that individuals depleted of their self-control strength would say thank you less often than non-depleted individuals, which would suggest that following descriptive norms also requires self-control. Under the methods section of the experiment, 36 college students, 19 males and 17 females, were separated into two groups. One group was the depleted condition, where they had lack of self-control, and the other group was in the undepleted condition, or those with self-control. Everyone wrote two neutral paragraphs about behaviors and cognitions. People in the depleted condition were not allowed to use the letter E or the space bar, while the undepleted group would write normally. The depleted group had to withstand the natural automatic desire to not use the letter E or the space bar. After the groups completed the typing task, participants answered some questions about the manipulation. Along with the questions about how much self-control the task required, the researchers also included questions about how annoying, frustrating, and unpleasant the typing task was. These questions, rated on a 12-point scale, were designed to examine other potential causes of impolite behavior. Next, participants' politeness was measured verbally. The experimenter told the participants the next phase of the experiment would occur in another room. As they passed through 8 doors, the experimenter held the door and counted the number of times a participant said a form of thank you, thanks, or thank you. Upon returning to the lab, the participants completed a questionnaire. The purpose of the questionnaire was to see if there was a correlation between politeness of having a door open and the personality trait. To test their hypothesis, researchers wanted to demonstrate that depleted participants had more self-control and the depletion did not affect negative feelings such as frustration and annoyance. The participants who were depleted reported that the typing task required more self-control than the participants who were not depleted. They also did not report that the task was significantly more annoying or frustrating than non-depleted participants. Proving the researchers' hypothesis that the measures should be positively correlated with the number of thank yous during the door open procedure, participants who were more agreeable said thank you more often compared to less agreeable participants, making them positively correlated. Also, proving the researchers' hypothesis, results showed that depleted participants said thank you less often than non-depleted participants. Their overall results indicate that depleting self-control resources leads to less polite behavior. The implications from these results display that the depletion of self-control can be correlated to counter-normative behavior. These results also showed that those whose self-control is depleted are less adhering to politeness norms than those who have undepleted self-control. So basically, if you're someone who possesses self-composure, you're more likely to extend a thank you when a stranger holds a door for you. Self-control is needed to display the behaviors that best fit the norms of society. When a person has a lack of self-control, they're more likely to go against the norms of society, such as lying, cheating, and being rude to others. Antisocial behavior and criminal behavior are directly linked to those who have a lack of self-control. In conclusion, these results prove that in order to follow along with descriptive and prescriptive society norms, we must display undepleted self-control.